Good morning, everyone. We are so excited you are here. Welcome to the Pérez CreARTE info webinar. We are so thrilled to have you here today to share more information with you about the Jorge M. Pérez Family Foundation's CreARTE grant program. My name is Jackie Altman, and I am the Community Investments Manager at the Miami Foundation. I am here today with the amazing Belissa Alvarez, the Director of the Jorge M. Pérez Family Foundation and the related philanthropic foundation. Today, we are going to walk through the history of the Pérez Family Foundation, dive into the CreARTE grant program, discuss the program timeline, and then open it up for questions. We encourage you throughout the webinar to type your questions into the Q&A feature. We love that you want to use the chat. Please feel free to introduce yourselves, but all questions for CreARTE, please put those in the Q&A. We want to make sure to get those answered and addressed at the end of our presentation. Lindsay Linzer, who is the Vice President of Community Investments at the Miami Foundation, is in the chat and monitoring and will ensure that your questions that are in the Q&A are lifted up to be answered at the end of the presentation. Now I'm going to hand it over to Belissa to kick us off with a bit of background about the Pérez family.
Thank you, Jackie. As Jackie mentioned, I'm Belissa Alvarez. I'm the director of the Jorge M. Pérez Family Foundation, as well as a related philanthropic foundation. For those of you who have lived in Miami for some time, you've probably heard the names George and Darlene Pérez mentioned among the philanthropic leaders of our community. The Pérez family have been long-standing supporters of the arts and other issue areas in Miami. In 2015, they made the decision to partner with the Miami Foundation to further elevate their philanthropic commitment to Miami and establish a permanent legacy their children can carry forward. Since then, the Miami Foundation has housed both foundations and serves as a strategic partner to not only the family, but to me as a director. The Family Foundation's mission is to promote sustainable, inclusive, and just communities by supporting programs and organizations focused on arts and culture, health and wellness, the environment, education, and economic empowerment. The key grant-making goals of the Family Foundation are as follows. 1, we're investing in innovative, groundbreaking programs and initiatives. Many times nonprofits struggle with finding funding, which will help them to expand their capacity and programs, as well as develop new ways of serving our community. The family felt very passionate about being able to provide partner organizations with the ability to do just that. 2nd, supporting long-term nonprofit partners that are visionaries in their approaches and considered leaders in their respective fields. Over the years, the family and our team have developed deep relationships with our grantees, and especially over the last year, we have placed a strong emphasis on meeting our partners where they are and remaining flexible. The 3rd goal is to leverage Pérez family investments to catalyze outside philanthropic support. As the Family Foundation continues to grow and make investments in the community, we want to find new ways to bring other funders into the mix and grow support for the organizations and causes that we focus on. Last but not least, we want to address the most pressing issues in the community, whether it's relief efforts or racial equity. The family strongly believes philanthropic support should play a pivotal role in addressing the issues which affect us all.
CreARTE was born from George's desire to expand his support of the arts in Miami. CreARTE was the first time that the Pérez Family Foundation opened its grant-making broadly to the community. The inaugural CreARTE program in 2019 received over 200 applications, and ultimately the family made grant awards to 23 high-impact organizations to support a thriving Miami arts community. Since 2019, CreARTE has awarded over $11 million in grants to 47 organizations. Those supported programs have engaged over 730,000 Miamians in the arts. And what's even more important is that CreARTE funds have served as a catalyst for raising other funds. CreARTE grants have leveraged their CreARTE grants to raise an additional $17.9 million in funding.
So many of you may ask yourselves, where did the name CreARTE come from? CreARTE translates in English to create and art. The Jorge M. Pérez Family Foundation cared deeply about giving artists and youth the opportunity to create art. Giving the program a Spanish name speaks to the family's roots. Over 6 years ago, when we researched the local arts ecosystem and talked to experts, some of the driving principles we considered as we evaluated possible giving strategies for the Family Foundation included co-investing and leveraging other funding, importing and exporting best practices, supporting artists and their practices, maintaining and creating community vibrancy, funding unique partnerships, focusing on outcome measurement. The family wants more than anything for their philanthropy to leverage the assets we already have in our community and make a measured, tangible impact. It was also important to the family to open up the grant application to the community. We want to be inclusive and transparent in our philanthropy. Just because we don't already know your organization and the work that you do does not mean that we can't fund you. We understand that there are a lot of amazing under the radar organizations and projects happening around our community, and we want all to have an equal opportunity to let us know their ideas. We have learned so much since we launched CreARTE back in the spring of 2019. Now we are launching this program for the 4th time. Within the arts grant making portfolio, we want to ensure that we can have a concentrated impact. And for that reason, we have defined 3 primary areas of focus in which we will accept proposals and award grants. 3 areas of focus are arts access, arts education, and artist fellowships and residencies. Jackie will share about the arts access category.
Thank you, Melissa. Arts access funding is intended to support access to high-quality art across Miami. The goal is to support meaningful and diverse public engagement with and access to art, and to help integrate the arts into the fabric of our Miami community. In response to feedback from the first cycle of CreARTE, we created an explicit category for arts access, as it actually used to be part of arts education. The addition of the arts access category ensures that organizations that are not explicitly focused on arts education, but are working to support diverse public engagement and access to high quality art, have the opportunity to apply for funding. A current grantee in this category includes Commissioner, who received funding to support capacity building and the growth of their organization. Commissioner works to make art collecting accessible by all. They are commissioning local Miami artists and building a new, diverse community of art patrons. Now over to you, Melissa, to share about arts education.
The arts education category seeks to ensure that all young people have the equitable access to arts education opportunities. The foundation recognizes that there is a major funding gap in arts education across the spectrum, from early childhood all the way to high school and college pre-professional programs. All of the research shows that ensuring access to art at a young age is critical. It allows learners to develop critical thinking and creative problem-solving skills that help ensure later success in the workforce and in life. Funding will focus on taking big bets on the high-performing organizations working to expand arts education in our community. Some of our current grantees in this category include Arts for Learning, to support its visual art, theater, music, and creative movement preschool programs at all Miami-Dade County Head Start classrooms. This work benefits students, but also teachers, since they equip teachers to be able to integrate the arts into everyday learning in their classroom. Miami is another example of a current grantee. We support Miami's education initiative, which builds community around the stories of Miami's youngest residents by teaching poetry to youth in public schools. publishing student poetry through public art projects, and training teachers to incorporate poetry into their classrooms. Back to you, Jackie, to share more about the Artist Fellowships and Residencies category.
Thank you. Our final category is Artist Fellowships and Residencies. This category provides funding to support the creation and/or expansion of artist fellowship and residency programs. George and his family believe in supporting artists, helping them perfect their craft, grow professionally, and keep their talents here in Miami. As a community, if we are serious about building a sustainable community of artists, providing space and programs for local and out-of-town artists to produce their art is essential. Funding artist fellowships allows talented individuals to make a living doing the work they love and allows them to stay in Miami. This is one of the hardest types of funding for artists to come by. The family is interested in supporting artists across all types of genres of art. Some current grantee examples include Bakehouse Art Complex, who we fund to provide operating support to continue to offer rent relief to promising artists with demonstrated potential and financial need. This includes providing artists with studio space, exhibition opportunities, access to resources, peers, programs, and art-making facilities that will advance their development and practice. Another current grantee is Diaspora Vibe Cultural Arts Incubator. They receive funding to fortify and expand their existing Miami Artist in Residence program that works to promote, nurture, and exhibit the diverse talents of emerging artists from the Latin and Caribbean diasporas. I'm going to hand it back to Melissa to talk through the priorities and features of CreARTE.
As the review team reads and considers proposals, there are a number of priorities that will be considered. Knowing we can't fund every great idea, these priorities will help us to make recommendations back to the family about the proposals most closely aligned to the values of most importance to them. These priorities are the things that would help an applicant rise to the top during the review process. We want to see bold, new approaches for reaching diverse audiences, engaging youth, and lifting up local artists. And successful applicants will show a dedication to advancing arts equity and ensure that meaningful effort is in place to reach individuals who often get left out of arts in our community. We will reward organizations that have a proven track record and present a plan that is bold but realistic. It's not to say that unknown, smaller organizations cannot apply, but there needs to be some evidence of past success and partnerships in the community that they will enable the project to be successful. The family is also more interested in supporting an organization's ongoing programming and capacity and less interested in supporting a one-time event.
So for those of you who are already familiar with CreARTE, many of the key components of the program that made the previous 3 cycles so successful remain in place. The program is structured as a one-phase open call to the community, which was a change that was implemented in the last cycle in 2023 based on community feedback. This one-phase proposal process hopefully means that overall there's less work and time commitment from applicants. It also means that all applying organizations are given the opportunity to complete a full proposal and share the full details of their proposed work. This year, for the first time, Pérez CreARTE will prioritize and only consider organizations whose missions have an arts-first focus. We recognize that hundreds of nonprofit organizations across Miami-Dade County are supporting arts education and access. Education organizations may have an art component. Health organizations may have arts programs. We agree that these are powerful and incredibly important in our Miami arts ecosystem. But for Pérez CreARTE, we want to lift up and grant to organizations whose primary mission and activities are grounded in arts. Any arts-first focused nonprofit that meets the eligibility criteria and the areas of interest to the family can apply. Nonprofits include government and university partners, as well as organizations that have an established fiscal sponsorship relationship. Universities may submit up to 3 applications, each from a different department or college. Individuals and for-profit organizations are not eligible to apply. Similarly, private non-operating foundations are not eligible to apply. We have really valued having external reviewers involved in the review process for the last 3 cycles of CreARTE, and we plan to continue that practice. We are currently finalizing the 20+ community reviewers that will support the review process alongside the Miami Foundation staff and the Pérez Family Foundation representatives. The diverse expertise and perspective that the external reviewers brought to the table was incredibly valuable when recommending finalists. I'm going to pass it to Melissa to continue talking about the key features of CreARTE.
Thanks, Jackie. When applicants apply, they are choosing to apply under either Arts Access, Arts Education, Artist Fellowships and Residencies. Then they are selecting what type of funding they are seeking. Funding to support their general operations, funding to support the expansion or creation of specific programs, or funding to support the creation of a new artistic space or improvements to an existing space. One note though, if you are applying for capital funds for a new space, that space must already be secured. Grant awards will be in the range of $100,000 to $250,000 over 2 years. That means that when you are applying, you are sharing a number you are requesting, knowing that funds will be split over 2 years. All grantees will receive 2-year awards. We have found that in the past, 1-year awards do not allow us the time to get to know our partners well enough, and we want to give our partners the time and space to really do the work without having to worry about applying for another grant the next year. And we plan to include external learning and evaluation once again as a part of the program. We have a wonderful long-time evaluation partner that is deeply involved and works with all of our grantees year-round. Now the timeline. As you know, the application is now open for submissions and proposals are due by June 13th, no exceptions. There will be also no extension request allowed. All applications must be submitted via our grants management system platform, and we'll go over that a little bit later. The team and the external reviewers will be spending June and July reviewing and rating the proposals. External review committees will be coming together in August and September to discuss the proposals and make recommendations to the family. I'll pass it to Jackie to take you through the actual application process.
Thank you, Melissa. We are so excited to have a new grants management system new this year for CreARTE. If you've submitted a grant in the past few months as part of the Miami Foundation's community grants or a different one of our programs, then you are already experts in this amazing new system. All CreARTE grants must be submitted through this new grants management system. You can access this by visiting grants.miamifoundation.org or by scanning this QR code to follow along as we take you through the grant application process. The image that you see on the right of the screen is what you're going to see when you log into the home when you go to that website. If this is your organization's first time in our new system, you can go ahead and select Create New Account. This is just for new users to our system. You will complete all of the fields to create your organization's profile and then hit Save. If you see a message letting you know that your organization already exists in the system after you enter your organization's EIN or tax ID number, please don't proceed and just email me. My email is going to be available for you on the screen. It's down there, or you can email support@miamifoundation.org. I monitor both of those inboxes, so you will definitely have some support. We will add you on the back end as a contact for your organization because it is already in our system. Once we do that, you will be able to log into the system to access your organization's profile. If you are a returning user, you have known and loved our new grants management system in the past, all you will need to do is enter your credentials and click Log On. If for any reason you have forgotten your credentials, you can just click Forgot Password to create a new password and log in. Once you're in the system, there are 2 steps that you will need to complete. Both steps have to be completed in order for you to be considered for funding. The first is that you need to complete your organization's profile if you're new, or check it for completeness and accuracy if there is already information there from applying for a previous grant. The second step will be to complete and submit your community grants application. First, let's walk through making sure your organization's profile is complete and accurate. The first thing you want to do is update that organization's profile. Make sure everything in there is right. And all you have to do is click on your organization's name in blue at the top of your dashboard. You are then going to click on the Edit button in the bottom right corner to edit your profile. You want to make sure that you complete all the fields on your organization's profile. If you prefer not to answer demographic information about your executive leader, select Decline to State from the drop-down. If you prefer not to answer demographic information about senior leaders or board members, you can leave those blank. The rest of the fields must be completed. You can just click Save when you're done, and then you have completed the first step. Step number 2 is to actually apply for the CreARTE grant. At the top of your screen, you're going to click Apply. You're going to scroll down and you're going to see Pérez CreARTE 2025. And you're going to click on the dark blue button that says Apply right here. If you want multiple people to help you complete the application, that is absolutely no problem. We have a handy dandy collaborate feature at the top. You can invite collaborators one at a time by entering their email and then selecting the permission you would like them to have. You can then click on the invite button and the system will actually send them an email with instructions on how to access the application. If you do not want to complete the application all in one sitting, you will see an opportunity to save application at the very bottom. And by doing this, you can come back later and finish it. Once you are sure everything is complete in the application, you will click on Submit Application. Make sure that you submit before the due date on June 13th. June 13th, the application will close at 11:59, but we do not recommend that you submit your application at 11:59, as no exceptions will be made regardless of extenuating circumstances, including technical difficulties. So we really recommend that you get your application in way before the last minute. If the system is not letting you submit, it means you did not complete a required question, or you have exceeded the character limit of an extended response question. The system will give you notes on what the problem is in red boxes, such as the ones that you see on the screen. 2 quick reminders before we end this application section. Please do not wait until the last minute to submit. We will not be making any exceptions for the deadline for any extenuating circumstances, including technical difficulties. Applications are due on June 13th. And if you have any questions about the system or need help with the grants portal, you can reach out to me at either of the email addresses that are on your screen. Now I am very excited to pass it back to Melissa to go over next steps.
Thank you, Jackie. So as a next step, please review the guidelines closely. There is a ton of useful information packed into the guidelines, and included in the guidelines is a copy of all the proposal questions and answers to frequently asked questions. Today's information session will also be on our website shortly as a recording and a resource for you. If you have additional questions after attending today and after reviewing the program guidelines, then feel free to sign up for office hours. Unfortunately, the interest in office hours may exceed our capacity, but please don't hesitate to send us an email. Make sure not to wait until June 13th to send an email with a question about the program. We want to make sure to have enough time to answer all your questions. And now, Jackie, we're going to segue to the FAQs.
Amazing. So these are some of our frequently asked questions, and we're excited to get to yours in just a couple of minutes. But a question that we get a lot is, Melissa, what is the average grant award size?
That's a great question. Grant amounts will vary depending on proposed activities and the organization's capacity. The top award is $250,000 over 2 years, and the range, as I had mentioned before, is from $100,000 to $250,000. So, Jackie, do we provide grants to individuals?
We do not. This program, Pérez CreARTE, is only available for eligible 501c3 nonprofit organizations and government entities that serve Miami-Dade. We also do, these are arts first organizations, and yet again, we do not grant to individual artists. Melissa, could you tell us a little bit more about who is on this review committee?
Yes, grant applications are going to be reviewed by the Miami Foundation staff, Pérez family members, related group staff such as myself, and select outside experts. Jackie, is this grant? This is one of, I think, one of the most frequently, very frequently asked questions. Is this grant from the Miami Foundation or the Pérez Foundation?
The Jorge M. Pérez Family Foundation is a donor-advised fund at the Miami Foundation. So the Pérez family provides funding recommendations to the Miami Foundation. The grants will ultimately be awarded by the Miami Foundation, but decisions and all of the grant making is by the Pérez family. And we're super excited this year to be celebrating 10 years of the Pérez Family Foundation at the Miami Foundation. And what a better way to celebrate than by launching this fourth cycle of CreARTE. So Melissa, is this grant for event funding?
No, this open call is not intended to fund events or conferences. We're looking for programs and more long-term initiatives. So Jackie, can organizations submit multiple applications?
Nope. One application per organization and up to 3 applications for universities for different departments, all arts focused. If I'm a new organization that has a small staff, can I still apply, Melissa?
Yes, absolutely. Any 501c3 organization serving Miami-Dade County is welcome to apply, but we have a strong preference for organizations that have a proven track record and the capacity to scale. Last question that we have here, can current grantees apply?
Yes, current CreARTE grantees can apply, but they will have a separate process. They were notified of that process and will be receiving more details in the coming weeks of their own reapplication process. That process will begin in June, and we're excited to let them know more of that in the coming weeks. So hopefully some of your questions have been answered. More FAQs and all of the resources that we have gone over are shared on the Pérez Family Foundation website. You can use the QR code that you see on the screen to take you directly to the CreARTE information on that website. And we will put that link in the chat as well. On that website, you can peruse our guidelines, which again has all of this information. You can sign up for office hours, and you can access the grants management system to submit your application by, but hopefully before, June 13th. And as always, you can contact myself, Jackie Altman, at jaltman@miamifoundation.org, and Melissa Alvarez at melissa.alvarez@relatedgroup.com. All of that information is included on the website. So we are really, really excited to now open it up for some questions in the Q&A that have come from the audience. And I'd like to turn it to Lindsay, who's been monitoring the chat. Thank you, Lindsay.
Of course. Good to see you all. I'm glad we're doing this today. So some great questions came in. Melissa, the first one's going to be for you. So we've gotten some questions about an organization isn't based in Miami, but is already providing services in Miami, or they're hoping to expand the services they are offering in Miami. Are they eligible to apply?
Yes, they are eligible to apply, even though they are not a just local organization, but rather a national organization. But we do ask that what they apply for is for the programs and services that they provide in Miami-Dade County.
Awesome. Really helpful. Thank you. So, Jackie, we got another question that came in from another organization that's not based in Miami, but it's based in Broward, and they want to expand their artist residency program to serve Miami-based artists. Would they be eligible under the CreARTE guidelines?
Yes, they would be eligible as long as they outline their services that are specifically focusing on Miami. It is tough, I know, to prove success rate in a place and a project that you aren't currently necessarily serving, but you can absolutely submit an application for the expansion of your program to serve Miami-Dade.
Perfect. That's really helpful. Jackie, another question for you. Is the grant amount tied to an organization's budget? And I'm going to clarify, I am guessing that the reason for this question is you probably just applied for community grants where the amount you're eligible is actually based on your organization's budget. So Jackie, is that the case here for CreARTE?
No, it's not the case, actually. It's a little bit different. Um, uh, our grant awards for CreARTE range from 100,000 over 2 years to about 250. We do award very few 250,000 grants over the 2 years. We do ask that you can make the request for however much in that range that you would like to use for your proposal, but we do recommend that you ask for a reasonable amount for what you are trying to do. We are really excited when we see budgets that are really, project budgets that are really well formatted, really well organized. And so we recommend that, ask for the amount that you definitely need and can use for the specific project that you are requesting.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. Melissa, the next question's for you. Does an organization have to apply for just one category? So either arts access, arts education, arts fellowships, and residencies, or can you apply from across multiple categories?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we ask that organizations select one category. They're also going to be asked to select one type of funding, whether it's general operating, programmatic, for space, as we discussed earlier. But yes, each organization should apply under one category and one category only. If you are a university, as Jackie had mentioned in our presentation, you are able to apply for different categories through different departments. And if you have very specific questions or examples, you can reach out, but generally that's the way we are proceeding.
Thank you, Melissa. Jackie, this next one's for you. So there's a question of, I'm not an actual IRS 501c3 nonprofit, but I'm doing community programming. Am I eligible to apply?
So you can find a fiscal sponsor that can, you have to have a pre-existing relationship before you apply. So you would need to submit all of that information in your application. There's a section for folks who are fiscally sponsored. You would just need to upload your agreement. And then, yes, you can apply. So find an awesome fiscal sponsor.
So related question about fiscal sponsors, should the fiscal sponsor be the one to apply, or should it be the kind of applicant doing the work, the organization who's putting the application into the system?
Great question. It should be the applicant that is doing the work, but you do need to let your fiscal sponsor know that this is something that you're doing. Hopefully you have a great close relationship with them already, because like I said, you will need to upload all of the fiscal sponsor agreements and information that you have into the system, but then you will be able to apply just like any other applicant.
Perfect. Melissa, this next question's for you. Does the program that an organization is proposing, does it have to be new to be considered, or can it be something that an organization has kind of already been working on?
Great question. No, the program that you apply for does not have to be new. You can apply to expand an existing program or, build capacity for an existing program. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a new program.
Perfect. Really helpful. This next question is for you, Jackie. So we applied for the Miami Foundation's community grants opportunity this year, and we haven't heard back yet, but does that change our eligibility for the Pérez CreARTE grant?
No, it does not. This is a separate grant program given out by the Pérez Family Foundation, a donor advised fund at the Miami Foundation. The community grants program is completely separate. You can apply for both. And just so that you know, community grants awards will be announced in June. So that's why you haven't heard back yet.
Perfect. Thank you. So Jackie, also with you, we're getting some questions that folks who are kind of on the website and are looking at the application are having some trouble with the budget template. And so I'm just going to put out there, they're having trouble actually editing it. And so we are going to double check our links, make sure it's downloadable both from the website as well as from the grants portal, and that whatever version you download is actually editable and usable for you. So just a note that some folks are putting in the chat that they're having issues with it.
No problem. We'll check that out. You can also, that is there for you as a guide. We don't want you to do extra work to put your budget into our template. If you have your own project budget, we would like for you to upload that as well.
So I'm just going to correct that, because for your organizational budget, each organization has their own organizational budget. You should use your own organizational budget template. We're not giving you a template. For project budget, we actually do want you to use the CreARTE template that has been provided. We're going to double check the links, make sure that that works for you.
Two separate budgets you're uploading. Sorry, I got confused on which budget you're asking about.
All good. We want all the budget.
Do your own budget, but then the project budget, do ours.
But while we're talking about budgets, when they're completing the budget, are they supposed to be entering the numbers for 2 years? So imagine they're asking for, $100,000 each year, so 200,000 total. Should they enter the numbers for both years in the one tab?
I'm sorry, are you asking Jackie or me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yes, you want to put when putting the amount you're requesting, you want to take into consideration that you're asking for that full amount, although it will be paid out in 2 years. So yes, within your budget, you should account for that full amount you're requesting, so we know how you're planning to expend it.
Yep, perfect. That's really helpful. Thank you. So on the profile piece of our grants management system, Jackie, on the org profile, there's a question that says senior leaders. What does that mean?
Sure. This can mean anyone from board members to senior leadership, like any executives or folks that are in your organization that are leading that organization. It could be folks that you consider advisory members, anyone who has kind of a leadership role in the organization. We're just interested in who's making decisions alongside the the executive director or founder of your organization.
Perfect. Super, super helpful. Thank you, Jackie. Melissa, we got a question in about what percentage of new applications are going to be awarded compared with kind of past and current grantees?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is we don't come into this process with an exact formula of we're going to do this many that are new, this many that are past grantees, because we really truly want to read all the proposals, understand what kind of work is being done in the community, and then make the decisions collectively with the family, our external advisors, to pick the top applications based on the quality of the application. So we don't come in with preset percentages or number of grantees that are going to be new versus current ones.
Perfect. So helpful. So Jackie, we got some questions in about, there's some language in the guidelines that talk about we don't recommend requesting more than 25% of your annual operating budget. Can you explain a little bit more kind of the intention behind that and what we mean when we say that?
Sure, and jump in if I miss something. We're really excited to invest in your programming and your projects and your organization, but the CreARTE fund is when it let's say you get it and it goes away in 2 years. We don't want your organization and programming to then go away. We want to make sure that you're set up for sustainability. We want to invest in that. So making sure that you're not making an ask that is so over, your current budget, to make sure that you can maintain the actual project and programming that you are going to start or advance or build capacity in for your own organization.
So helpful. So Melissa, I think we've already answered this, but let's just reiterate. If you're an individual artist or a grad student who's an artist, are you eligible to apply for CreARTE?
So no, individuals are not eligible to apply. Non 501c3 nonprofits are eligible to apply. Government entities are eligible to apply. Universities. But what I will say is that the organizations that we support, most of them directly support artists. So even though we don't directly support artists by providing grants to them, we're supporting organizations that are offering amazing programs for artists.
Perfect. Thank you. That's really helpful. So we're actually also, we have some current grantees in the audience. And can you just clarify again for us, Jackie, like what is the process if you're a current CreARTE grantee? It's okay that they're here getting the overview now, but what should they be doing?
Hi, current grantees. We love you. We have not forgotten about you. You are going to go through a separate process. It's going to be a reapplication process. We know you very well, so it's going to kind of be some different a different application process than our new grantees who we're excited to get to know. Those guidelines will be coming to you very shortly. Your process will be from June 2nd to August 1st. You should have received a notification about that, but we will be sending details soon, including the application questions so that you can prepare for that. In the meantime, you can reach out to us if you have specific questions, but please know that that information is coming in the next week or so. We're just putting the final touches on it, and your application will begin in June 2nd.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. Melissa, there's a question about, if we're applying in the arts access category, is the scale of audience, the size actually, an important part of your application? Do you need to show that you're serving, 50,000 people, or if you're serving 100 people? Like, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think arts access is one of our categories that I think could go in many different directions. I think it can be about the number of residents that you're reaching, but it could also be about reaching particular populations that may not always have access to the arts. Or you can also be providing access in a way that is different than is normally available to organizations. So I think that it just depends. It doesn't have to be only about number of folks being reached. There's just different ways. So if you have a specific example, please feel free to email us and we can talk it through or sign up for the office hours. But no, the short question, the short answer is that no, it doesn't have to just be about number of folks reached.
Perfect. That's really helpful. So Jackie, based on the timeline that you shared, I don't think we understand when are awards actually going to be announced?
Great question. We don't have a specific date, but it will be fall 2025. So it will be this fall. We will be doing the reviews in June and July, and then August is when we're going to get together for to present some recommendations in September to the family as well. So we don't have an exact date, but expect announcements in fall 2025.
Perfect. Really helpful. Melissa, this next question is for you. Does CreARTE have a preference, as we're thinking about funding for small organizations versus larger organizations? How are you guys thinking about, small organizations that apply?
That's a great question and one we get often. So again, just like we don't come into the process knowing the exact number of existing grantees versus new organizations we're going to fund, we also don't have specific numbers for, how many large or small organizations. We're open to funding all types of organizations in terms of their size. I think for us, it's more about understanding what the organization's proven track record is and history of partnering with the community to do the kind of work they're proposing to do. So that is much more important. We want to give opportunities to organizations of all sizes, but we want to make sure that whichever organizations we're funding have proven that they are in a position to accomplish the work they're proposing to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate that. So question for you, Jackie, how integral is it for scalability of arts education grant applications? Like if you already have a set of programs you're doing, do you have to show that you're trying to grow those programs, or can the funding be used to continue the great work that we're already doing?
Great question. The funding can absolutely be used to continue or expand the work that you're doing. Just make sure that you're kind of wanting to have like a clear direction of maybe how you're going to either continue or expand on the actual program that you're doing. The grant is meant to really uplift those programs and make sure, you know, if you're already doing good work, we don't want you to be doing other work, but we want you to kind of amplify it. That's what these are for.
Perfect, thank you. Melissa, this next question's for you. Do we care if an organization gets a CreARTE grant and they choose as part of their grant and they build it into their budget to pay vendors or companies based outside of the US to help build a platform or move forward the work? Is that allowable?
That's a great question, and I'll answer it. And Lindsay, you may want to chime in from the donor advised fund perspective, because I don't
Yeah.
know if there's something I may be missing. I think that, you know, as long as the vendor, whether they're national or international, they're doing work that is tied to what you proposed, both in the narrative and the budget of your application. I think it should be fine. But Lindsay, I'll defer to you from a
Yeah.
legal, you know, staff perspective.
Yeah, there's no concerns there. You know, Pérez CreARTE grants are lump sum grants. They're paid in two payments, 50% the first year, 50% the next year to the organization. And then we expect that you're using the funds as you kind of laid out in your project budget. So if a vendor that you're using to build a platform for you is based outside the US, that's totally fine. You're making the payments. We're not making the payments. You're reporting back to us eventually on how the funds were used, but paying international vendors or in international artists, also totally acceptable. Terrific. Question for you, Jackie. So when you talk about like operations funding, how is that different when you talk about operating support versus programmatic support? Like how does the Pérez family and the Miami Foundation see the difference there?
So a lot of the operation support is really about building the capacity in your own organization. In the past, grantees have used funding to hire more staff or hire outside, you know, marketing or really kind of use the funding to, you know, enhance their programs and procedures on the operations side. So it's really to build capacity in your organization versus infusing a specific program with that money.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I think we actually, unless more Q&A questions come in, I think we might be in the last question. And so the question is, you know, our organization is primarily being funded, you know, by the board or organization, you know, leaders who are kind of giving their time in kind. They're not being paid. Can the grant be used to actually start paying the organization's staff that is running the work?
Absolutely. I mean, we have had some grantees in the past where, you know, the staff was being paid either a very small amount, and mostly they were, you know, doing a lot of it in kind. So yes, I think that goes back to Jackie's point of capacity building and asking for operational support, and part of that being salaries.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is absolutely true. We've had grantees in the past that had really been kind of led by the founder who wasn't paying themselves. And this was the grant that helped them to kind of scale up and really kind of build out their staff, their organization, and do the work full time as a paid professional. We actually got in another question related to residency grants. And so and Melissa, I'm actually going to ask this one of you. Melissa, can the residency grants be used to support only local artists, or can they be used to bring in artists from outside of Miami to Miami?
I think that's a great question. And I think for us, the most important thing is to see that that residency is helping to nurture and foster the Miami arts ecosystem. And that could be by, you know, sending local artists somewhere else to learn and focus on their work, but that could also be bringing in artists into our community so that, you know, they can immerse themselves and hopefully bring new opportunities to artists here, organizations here. There could be a cultural exchange. So I think it could be both ways. Yeah.
And Melissa, I know we've heard George say the idea of like importing and exporting talent, like it's something that excites the family and that they're eager to fund a bit of both, sending our Miami artists around the world and around the country to really cool residencies and fellowships, but then also bringing folks from around the world into Miami and bringing their talents with them. So
Absolutely.
yes,
And we
absolutely.
currently have both. We have organizations that send Miami local artists somewhere, and we have organizations that bring. So absolutely.
Yeah. Another question for you, Melissa. So we know that this is a tough moment for arts organizations, especially with the recent announcement of National Endowment for the Arts grant cancellations. What is CreARTE's role, and does CreARTE see itself as having a role in filling these funding voids?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think from the beginning of when this program was created, the family's goal was to be able to double down on their investments in the arts, specifically within Miami, which is the community where they live, that they love, where they work. And I think that as we have gone through many challenges over the last 6 years, whether it's been COVID or, funding cuts in all different levels of government, we have continued to stay committed to funding the arts ecosystem in Miami and to being to continue to be one of the local funders that is consistent in providing that support. And the family is very much committed to continuing to be that.
Yeah, and I will just kind of also add in here, as you're framing your application, I would recommend not framing it as help me fill this gap in funding. I would focus on the opportunity. What is the unique thing that you're offering to enhance the arts ecosystem here in the areas of interest to the foundation? Like we know, but like cuts are happening. But I would recommend not focusing applications in that direction. Focus on the core, your leadership, the work you're doing, the programming you're offering, the value you're bringing to our community and the arts. That will tell the story. So it's not less about fill this hole for us. So just a recommendation as you all work on your applications. And the final question that came in, I know we've answered before, but I want to make sure we say it loudly and clearly. Are we going to support individual arts-based events? Like Jackie, is this intended for event funding?
No, it's not not intended for event funding. This is for arts-focused nonprofits, and we're really excited to support their events and funding and programs if that is the proposal is.
Yeah. We got another question in about whether if an organization gets the grant funds, could any of it be used for student scholarships to attend international music festivals? So Melissa, I'm going to hand that one over to you.
Yes, I mean, I think that if that is a part of the overall proposal, that, you are applying within, let's say, arts education, and your proposal is to be able to give opportunities to students, and that's a way that you're doing it. Yes, it just has to make sense within what it is that you're trying to achieve, within your proposal.
Perfect. So we have answered everything that came into the Q&A. And so we know that once you all dig into the guidelines and look at the application, that more questions may come up, and like that's totally okay. If there's not office hours available, our team, the three of us, we're super quick. We'll get you answers. So send us an email. We'll get you an answer. If we find that we're getting the same question over and over again, we'll push something out to the arts community to make sure everybody is clear. We'll also put it on our website. Jackie, you said we're going to put on our website this recording. We're going to put on the slides. Everything else they need can be found on the website, correct?
That is correct.
Awesome.
Head to the website. It's going to be great. We're so appreciative of you joining us here today. We really value and appreciate all of the amazing work that you all are doing in our community. And we really look forward to reading about your proposals and learning about your incredible work. And in the meantime, feel free to reach out to any of us with any additional questions. And we wish you a great day and great luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.